Welcome to Cloud Tech Nexus Tutorials. In this tutorial, we will focus on AdminStudio 2018 Repackager. Repackager is part of a suite of programs that comes with AdminStudio. A database like SQL Server is required before installing AdminStudio. Repackager takes a legacy application installer and converts it into an easier to deploy installer. You can then customize the installer, deploy a standalone installer, add to an OSD task, or add to a company portal. This adds flexibility when deploying software and making it more convenient for end users to install on their own. More information will be provided in the description. Here are some common differences between .exe and .msi install files. Scripting tools shown here are common ways of repackaging applications. These are free and work well, but require knowledge of coding. AdB does use a graphical user interface, but is more friendly toward packaging Microsoft applications. Using third-party tools shown here to repackage applications makes the task easier with limited coding skills. These third-party examples have a wizard-driven interface to help guide you when customizing an application for deployment. Depending on what scripting tools you choose, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. See description for more details. Higher cost repackagers work best. There are trials, so be sure to try before you buy. If you are a small business or startup, the cheaper alternative is to create your own scripts with free tools. A distribution system is part of these enterprise suites shown here, where apps are contained and are available in a company portal. Virtual app, web app, or mobile app for distribution. See description for more details. Repackager works by recording the actions of the installation and then saves the installer file for editing or deployment. No coding necessary. The installer file is then deployed in a distribution system. If there is no distribution system, the installer is copied to a network share. Here is a high-level overview of the steps when converting the installer file. In this tutorial, we will convert an Adobe application, then use SCCM to deploy. Steps in the following order. The workstation in this tutorial is not on the domain and is clean of the application planned to be converted. Open web browser. Go to Microsoft website and download SQL Server 2014 Express if using Windows 7. If using Windows 10, download SQL Server 2017 Express. Go to Flexera website. Find AdminStudio download link. Browse page for more information. Download free trial. Registration is required to download. Install SQL Server 2014 Express. Install and choose the following settings. Accept agreement. Next. 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 Close both windows. Start menu, search services.msc. Create desktop shortcut. Double-click services. Open SQL Server, SQL Express, and make sure startup type is set to automatic and is running. Exit Services Console. In the root of C drive, create a folder called Software Repository. Install AdminStudio 2018. Next. Accept agreement. Next. 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 Let's choose typical. Yes to restart. Finish. Start menu, all programs. Create the following shortcuts. Run AdminStudio. Next. Select No. OK. Create a new application catalog. OK. Next. Enter computer name and SQL instance. Test. OK. Next. Enable software repository. Browse and select the folder created in previous step. Enter login ID and password. Next. Yes. Allow access. Finish. Open web browser. Go to Adobe website. Download Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. We now have the .exe file. Open Repackager in AdminStudio. Select Capture and Installation using Repackaging Wizard. Next. Select Snapshot. Next. Select Multiple Steps. Next. Finish. Relaunch Repackager. Yes. Select Capture and Installation using Repackaging Wizard. Next. 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 Checkbox Setup Programs. Browse. Find and select Adobe installer file downloaded in a previous step. Open. Update information. Next. Create a folder called Adobe Reader DC in the software repository. Browse. Find and select Adobe Reader DC folder. Start. This will initiate the installation. Yes if prompted to overwrite folder. Next. Install. Finish. Finish. You have the option at this point to customize the file. Let's choose to build now. The conversion is complete. The .msi file is located in the following path. The .exe file has been successfully converted into a .msi file. The application has been installed on this test workstation. Let's uninstall and test the .msi install file. Install Adobe Reader DC.msi file. Acrobat Reader DC is installed. Run Adobe Reader DC. Runs without issue. Let's uninstall, but let's use the .msi file to uninstall Adobe Acrobat DC. Next. Remove. Next. Remove. Finish. Refresh. Adobe Acrobat DC is uninstalled. Close Repackager. If you ever need to reopen the Repackager and update the installer file, it's located here. Now let's copy the .msi file to a file share and import into a deployment management system, in this example SCCM. This is just an example of what an SCCM admin would do with the .msi file. If you don't have an SCCM server or enterprise deployment system, you can still deploy via file share. This will be demonstrated later. Adobe Reader DC is now deployable in SCCM. If you create an SCCM task sequence and the image doesn't have the application baked into the image, you can now add the application. Install application to add programs not included in the image. The more applications you deploy, the more you can add to the list. This is just a task sequence demo, so let's cancel. Let's look at an existing NDT SCCM task sequence. This can apply to a standard SCCM task sequence as well if you want to add applications. Let's cancel this as well and look at another method of deployment. The UDI Wizard Designer is used to customize the NDT SCCM integration deployments. The light touch template has already been pre-configured except the section regarding the software deployment option. Now when attempting to deploy NDT SCCM image, you will now have the option to add a program prior to deploying the image. Now to test deploy our newly added .msi application. The Adobe Reader DC application is available. Image deploy. Machine is named and on the domain. Adobe Reader DC is installed. Test run Acrobat Reader DC. If there are machines already deployed, and if the end users have access to Company Portal, they can install applications through Portal if authorized to do so. Admins can push the install manually or through policy. If there is no portal, then copy the .msi installer from a network share and install locally. AdminStudio can consolidate installers that have multiple files and folders as well. This is an example of legacy Acrobat Pro that has been converted into a single .msi installer. No need for folders or scripts to execute the install. Let's test install Acrobat Pro. Acrobat Pro runs without issue. This concludes how to use AdminStudio 2018 Repackager. All steps complete. Thanks for watching.